What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool news video, and in this video we will talk about what Jurgen Klopp said about the current situation around Liverpool Football Club, and especially that Jurgen Klopp told Carlo Ancelotti, the Everton manager, that going ahead with the Liverpool Atletico Madrid game, allowing it to happen with 54,000 fans in the stadium and 3,000 fans coming from Madrid, which was already a cluster, is a criminal act. These are very strong, very harsh words from Jurgen Klopp, and we will talk in detail about what Klopp said about the situation. But what do you think? And I fully agree with Klopp here, because at that time the Madrid stadiums were already closed. The league, I think, was already suspended in the Spanish league, and basically Madrid was already an epicenter, a cluster of this disease, and they still allowed 3,000 Madrid supporters to travel to Liverpool to mingle and mix with the Liverpool fans throughout the whole day, and then to go into the stadium, and 54,000 people were in that stadium. And yes, it was a brilliant night, a brilliant atmosphere. But I wonder how many innocent people will lose their lives because of this decision. I think it was UEFA who made this decision to allow the game to go ahead, and I don't think anybody should blame the players or the supporters or the managers, because the decision was out of their hands. If UEFA told Liverpool and Atletico Madrid to go ahead with the game and to allow fans into the stadium, then that's what you have to do. So let's actually listen to what Carlo Ancelotti said about this conversation. Carlo Ancelotti gave a very interesting interview to Corriere dello Sport, and this is what he said. I spoke with Jurgen Klopp a few days ago. He told me that the decision to play the Liverpool Atletico Madrid game with fans in the stadium was a criminal act, and I think he's right. I agree with him. We are all living a life that we were not used to, and that will change us profoundly. I'm sure we will all have to downsize, starting with football. Today the priority is health and limiting the contagion. When you start again, when you finish the dates, believe me, I don't care. At the moment, that's the last thing on my mind. I hear talk about cutting salaries, suspension of payments. They seem like inopportune solutions. Soon the whole economy will change, and that's at all levels. The TV rights will be less, players and coaches will earn less, tickets will cost less because people will have less money. I repeat, what matters now is to fight this effectively. Then of course, if it will be possible to continue the season, but otherwise, amen. Wow, these are very strong words by Carlo Ancelotti, and I think he's right. Everything will have to be downsized because of the incredibly big economic crisis that will inevitably happen during this next 1.5 years. And Carlo Ancelotti also said, it makes me laugh, the people who are always talking about the time it will take to prepare to play football again. There are even those who are talking about 3 weeks of training. It's a joke. The preparations are a false myth. I remember in 2006, due to the Calciopoli, how Milan fell out of the top 4 and withdrew from Europe, then to help Lazio from being relegated, they took away some of the penalty and we were forced to qualify for the Champions League. I had to call the guys who were on their holidays, because 4 days later we had to play Red Star Belgrade. Cafu returned 24 hours before the game and played 90 minutes. If you want, I can remind you how it ended in May, but I think you already know that. Oh wow, this is a very interesting, very explosive interview by Carlo Ancelotti. Let me know what you think. I think he's absolutely right that football takes a back seat at this time, but I still want to think, and I would like to know from the Premier League that it is 100% committed to finishing the season whenever it's safe to do so. I don't want the Premier League to risk any players or anybody's health. That's not the question. But you have to finish this season. If you can only finish it in the autumn or even in the winter, you have to finish this season before continuing with football Otherwise, it just wouldn't feel right to me. And it's not just UEFA who is guilty in this, but the UK government. At that time, during the Liverpool Atletico game, the UK government still allowed the freedom of movement to continue, and basically they allowed thousands of Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid fans, sorry, to fly from Madrid into Liverpool and to attend the game. And I think it says a lot that the Premier League would have gone ahead and be played if Arteta and Callum Hudson-Odoi didn't get that diagnosis of being sick a few days or just one day before the games. And if that happens, the Premier League would have gone ahead. So that says a lot about the attitude of the UK government at that time. And now even Boris Johnson tested positive. So, and the UK health minister tested positive as well. So it's absolutely crazy, unprecedented, historic times that we are living. But I want to focus on Liverpool and on football, especially on what Jurgen Klopp has to say about this situation. And Jurgen Klopp was asked, I think like 2 days ago in an interview, how are you doing? I'm good. It's a difficult time for all of us, but from a personal point of view, it's an interesting one as well, because I've never had a situation like this, and it was never that long. I was never that long at home. From a personal point of view, I'm really good, but like everybody else, I'm concerned about the situation around us, of course. It is 2 weeks ago, but it feels like it is ages ago that we played Atletico, and then Thursday was a day off. I remember we all knew about the situation around the world, but we were still in our tunnel, if you want, and until then it didn't really arrive into our mind in England. We played the Bournemouth game on Saturday, we won it, and then Sunday Man City lost, so the information for us was 2 more wins to go for the Premier League title. But then on Monday morning I woke up and I heard about the situation in Madrid, and then they would close the schools and universities from Wednesday, so it was really strange to prepare for that game, to be honest. I usually don't struggle with things around me. I can build barriers right and left when I prepare for a game, but in that moment it was really difficult. Wednesday we had a game. I loved the game. I loved what I saw from the boys against Atletico. It was a really good performance. Other than the result, we didn't score enough, we conceded too many, that's all clear, but within those 2 main pieces of information, it was a brilliant game. Thursday was off, and then Friday when we arrived, it was already clear that this is not a regular training session. Yes, we trained, but it was more of a meeting. We had a lot of things to talk about, and things I never thought before in my life about. Nobody knew exactly, and nobody knows exactly how it will go on. So the only way we could do it was to organize it as good as possible for the boys and make sure everything is sorted as much as we can sort it in our little space, in the little area where we are responsible, really. That's what we did in a very short space of time. Then we sent the boys home, we went home ourselves, and we are here at home still. Look, in my job, in my life, I face a lot of problems, completely different problems to the ones we have now. The problem anyway, but problems anyway, and I'm a completely solution-oriented person, Jurgen Klopp said. I'm not really interested in the problem itself usually. I take it as information and I immediately work on the solutions. In this case, no chance. For me, no chance for anybody in the short term. It will all be sorted in the long term, and we know that, but in the short term, what could I really know about? I had the same amount of questions like the boys did, and I couldn't answer them. But we did, meanwhile. We spoke a couple of times. We already have a really intense, big group chat. The whole of Melwood are in that. The boys are really lively in that. The boys are just interested in what everybody is doing at home. Comments about, for example, if Ox is on Instagram or whatever, so that helps a lot. The mood is good. As I said, it is a challenge for all of the people, as we know, that our life is still good. There are so many people out there that have much bigger problems, so it would feel really embarrassing to myself if I was to talk about my problems. I have the problems every person in the world has in the moment. That's the lesson we learn in this moment. 4 or 5 weeks ago, it looks like a lot of countries thought we have a problem with that and stuff like this. Now nature shows us we are all the same, and we have all the same problems in the same moment, and we have to work together on the solution. There is nothing good in that situation apart from maybe what we can learn from that. And yes, this is what is really strange about this situation, that it's everybody is affected. Every single country in the world, sooner or later, will be affected by this situation. And I think it's really, really difficult mentally for many people to wrap their heads around of you have to change your life drastically from like one day to the other. You have to live a completely different life than before, and I think the adjustment is not easy. And Jurgen Klopp sent out a very strong message of unity, solidarity straight after the Premier League was suspended. You can read it on the Liverpool FC website, and he was asked about that did he feel it was the right message to send at the time. It was the only message to send, because I think it's common sense, but I understand very well that I'm just a football manager. That's the job I always wanted, and from the outside perspective, it's a big job. People expect us to be leaders, smart and stuff like this. Maybe a few of us are, I'm not sure, but it's more important that in this moment I spoke as, yes, the manager of Liverpool FC, but as a completely normal guy as well, because in this moment, in a lot of parts of my life, football was my first concern, but not in this moment in the same way. And in this, I wanted to make sure that people know that, and maybe they can see it in the same way, that in this moment we have a chance as human beings. Okay, let me say it like this. In the future, in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, if we look back, and then the conclusion is that this was the period when the world showed the biggest solidarity, the biggest love, the biggest friendship or whatever, that would be great. That would be really great. So in the moment when you go through a phase or a period like this, it's not possible to see that, especially not for the people who are ill. But there will be a point in the future, a moment in the future, when we look back, and hopefully then we can see it like this, because that's the solution for it. We all have to be disciplined, we all have to work together, we all have to take care of each other, and that's the solution for this problem. That's why we are at home. Not all of us, a lot of people are out there working still. The health services, it is incredible. These people are doing their jobs to make sure that we can stay at home. I just wanted to use common sense to explain my view. My English is not good enough to say how big of admiration I have for the people who cannot stay at home and who are still out there working. It's extraordinary. I think yesterday I was sent a video of people in the hospital just outside the intensive care area, and when they started You Will Never Walk Alone, I started crying immediately. It's unbelievable, but it shows everything. These people not only work, but they have such a good spirit. They are used to helping other people. We need to get used to it, because usually we have our own problems and stuff, but it's their job. They do it day in, day out. They bring themselves, if you want, in danger, because they help ill, sick and seriously handicapped people. So I couldn't admire them more, and I appreciate it more. I really couldn't. First and foremost, I have to say, not only the backroom staff, but I miss everybody at Liverpool FC. I just miss everybody. It's 2 weeks and I'm not on holiday. Usually you are somewhere, and that's not a moment where you miss the backroom staff or your colleagues, but at the moment, really desperately, we miss each other. We really like working together. We have a lot of contact with WhatsApp groups and phone calls, FaceTime, whatever. So we see each other a lot, but not like we want to or like we are used to, but they still do an incredible job. Yes, we all have the same problems, but there are some special problems on top of that. We have the players, and it's difficult for football players, like it's difficult for me to go normal shopping, food shopping. We have to do social distancing, and we try that. We are now in the second week at home. We have to organize it. What Mona Nemmer is doing there is incredible. It's the highest level. I don't find the right words for that. What Andreas Kornmeier is doing with the fitness guys, how inventive they are with different things we can use. Of course, we do stuff as well where we are all together doing the same things in the same moment. It's all possible technical wise now, but they have their own programs. They send videos, they give challenges and all that stuff. We had a difficult situation in the medical department. Andy Messi left to FIFA, and then Jim Moxon jumped in, if you want, from like nowhere, together with Salah Lindsay. They are doing an incredible job in getting all this information. You can imagine, you go in isolation, you hear from outside, the first sign is maybe a sore throat, a little bit of a headache. Who can say they didn't wake up the next morning after getting this information and felt a slightly sore throat and a slight headache. That's how human beings are. We had that as well. Then you call the doc. You are used to calling the doc in these situations, so they had to calm everybody down. Lee Richardson, the psychologist, of course, all the physiotherapists are hopefully not that busy in the moment anymore, because it's not allowed that they go in and do the stuff with the players. Ray Hohan organized all the stuff around together with Lewis Dobson. It's just really incredible. We still do the same without meeting and training together. Of course, it's what we love to do, but respect absolutely 100% the situation and want to play our part in it. What have you made, Jurgen Klopp was asked, what have you made of some of their posts? We have seen Ox dancing up the stairs, Milner cutting the grass. And Jurgen Klopp answered, I didn't cut the grass, but I tried the dance of Ox. Not as bad as you probably think. It's very important in these times that we all show we take this situation seriously, but we are human beings. At the moment we are at home, and when you are at home, you cannot do something to help outside. We are not health workers. We don't work in a supermarket. You have to keep your own mood up, and you have to keep the mood up for other people as well. If the boys do anything on Instagram, as long as it's in a legal frame, I'm overly happy about it. It just shows they are still cheeky and all that stuff. I like it a lot. I like the lineups they do. All these things are really funny. What other kind of things have you been watching? Jurgen Klopp was asked. I watched a few movies. I watched the Taken trilogy again. To be honest, that's how it is. You do a lot of things you usually don't do. I'm still in that period. 2 weeks is long, but it's not that long. And finally, the final question. I think it's fair to say a lot of people are missing football. The most important thing right now is that everybody continues to follow the government's guidelines and stays home. And Jurgen Klopp answered, we said it now often enough, and I think everybody knows football is not the most important thing in the world, 100%. It's in this moment it's clear what is. The only way to get football back as soon as possible is if that's what people want. The more disciplined we are now, the earlier we will get piece by piece our life back. That's how it is. There is no other solution in the moment. Nobody has another solution. We have to be disciplined by ourselves. We have to keep the distance to other people. We can still do some things, not a lot, but we have to just calm down a bit with things. Yes, outside the economy has to carry on. That will start again. But the lower the number will be when we go out again, the number of people infected, that's what I understand, the better it is. It will not be like nobody anymore after the first few weeks, but the curve will flatten, and that's the most important thing. We have to give our people in the hospitals, doctors, the chance to treat the people with serious issues with full concentration. We have to give people time to build ventilators. We have to give people time to find solutions. There will be a moment when other smart people find a vaccine, but until then we have to make sure we do the best possible for all the people out there. You hear now more and more, it's not only the elderly and weaker, it's not only that, there are younger people involved who can die of it as well. It's not about that, it's about just showing heart, a bit of sensibility, and do the right thing. Stay at home as long as we have to, and then at one point we will play football again as well, 100%. I couldn't wish more for it because of a few really good reasons. How can you can imagine? I can't wait actually, but even I have to be disciplined and try to be as much as I can. Brilliant interview by Jurgen Klopp. I really wanted to share that with you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. See you later, guys. Goodbye.